Okay, so this is really where something like this shines. You look at the width of these two right here. I'm sorry, I'm out of frame. You look at the width. This adjustable wrench is so much larger, and even if it was a 10-inch, it would still be wider than that. So if I go to doing something like this, where I'm tightening up these battery cables right here, I run out of room really quick here, but I also risk rounding this off. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to discuss today a couple of tools that I've picked up here. This one right here is Olsa tools. Now this is both of these are a variation of the Knipex tool, and this one right here is from Icon. So I wanted to show you a couple other options. Both of these are going to be cheaper than what you get with the Knipex. What I wanted to talk about is whether or not it's actually worth buying the cheaper version, or should you just go ahead and get the Knipex? And then if so, if you can buy a cheaper version, then which one's going to be your best option? The Olsa tools, just so I can be in all fairness, the Olsa tools was sent to me, and the Icon I bought with my own money. Okay, so the reason Olsa Tools sent this to me, they did not reach out to me and say, hey, I want to send this to you. I actually contacted them personally and asked them to send me this tool because I looked at it and I really liked it. And I've been a fan of Olsa Tools for a long time. I think that Olsa Tools is a very good brand for tools. There's several different tools that I like. I think they're an underrated company. And I would really like to see them go farther. I've also heard really good stuff about their online warranties. Some companies, every online warranty is going to be a little bit more difficult than, say, like a company where you can just walk in. So like a Craftsman or an Icon or a Pittsburgh or something, you can just walk straight into the door and pick up and swap it out. Now, I have heard people say with the Icon they have had some trouble unless they have a receipt. I'm not saying, and I personally have never had that issue with anything. I've had good luck with Craftsman, even once they turned into Lowe's, just walking right into the door and replacing something, whether it was a tool that I bought with my own money or if it was a tool that was given to me, say by my dad or something. I could replace that tool regardless. I don't know about that with Icon. I've just heard that. So that's just a rumor. Y'all put in the comments what you think. But I have heard a lot of good stuff about Olsa Tools with their warranty. And so I wanted to check it out. There's a lot of other tools I would love to review. They've got some stubby wrenches. They've got some stubby sockets. They've got several different things that I think are very helpful here on the farm. And also with what I do shutdowns on the side, if none of y'all know that. And that's where a lot of times I'll use these types of tools, is on the shutdowns. Even though I'm primarily a welder, I'm in a millwright setting, so a lot of times I do find a wrench in my hand, and a good tool is always worth having. But definitely here on the farm, having to work on my own tractors and my own equipment, something like this is just always going to be useful. So I want to get right into it. Anybody that doesn't know, this is a variation. To me, this whole makeup, whether you're talking about Knipex, Olsa Tools, or Icon, Knipex is the one that came out with the design, and I think they did a wonderful job. But essentially, they took these two tools right here, and they merged them together. This is a really good, this one's a USA made Proto. This one's a really good adjustable wrench. Really good. I mean, I really like this adjustable wrench right here. This is the 12-inch, so it's slightly bigger than these. This is the 10-inch. All three of these are a 10-inch version. I didn't have a 10-inch version of this. I got a 12 and an 8. So if I'm going to have an adjustable wrench, I'm going to have a good brand, because typically, these things can be junk or they can be good, okay? And all adjustable wrenches are subject to a couple different flaws, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. But then you've got this tool. When I first started welding, and I want y'all to look at that. that is a pretty, that tool's been used. I bought this tool new, and I take good care of my tools. I don't let them sit in a bucket and rust like I see some people doing. I take really good care of my tools, but I use my tools, and that's why I wanted to show this, because a lot of people, you'll see their videos, and I've looked at a lot of people's reviews online, and it kind of aggravates me, because they'll be showing me a brand new tool or a tool that they've never used, or they say that they've used, but the tool doesn't look used. It looks brand new. Like they'll tell you it's 10 years old and it just doesn't look used at all. So y'all can see that. All the cracks, all the dings, all the work, and that has not spent its life in the sun or in a rusty bucket. That has spent its life in my toolbox, rolling around with other tools for sure, but it's something that I use a lot, okay? And ever since owning this tool, I gotta be honest, I've hated it. It's been necessary to me, but I have hated this tool. The reason is because it's never the right tool. It's always the one that you've got. It's always the one that, and a lot of times you do need it. It comes in handy, but I've always thought, man, there's gotta be a better way. And this right here, when it first got made, I mean, it was definitely an improvement on what we had to work with before, what our grandfathers had to work with and our dads had to work with. This is definitely an improvement, so I'm not knocking it. It's had its place, but I always thought there was a better way, and there is. And this is, so that's basically what this is a version of the two of them kind of put together. And they do have ones with different jaws and things like that. But my point in saying how wore out this is just to say that, I definitely use my tools quite a bit. But these things have a lot of flaws, and one of the flaws is a lot of times I'll be grabbing something that's really hard to get. They'll slip, they'll come together, and you end up hitting your fingers, pinching your fingers, messing something up, and it's just really hard not to get a little frustrated when that happens. And these work quite well. Even put together like that, even if you slip, there's nowhere for it to hit your finger. Anywhere I put it, I haven't seen anywhere for it to come down and slip and hit your finger. Like even when I go all the way down, when I go right there and then adjust, like no matter where I go, it's not mashing your finger. There's enough gap there. So that, I haven't used either one of these tools enough, these specific tools, because you can tell they're brand new. But the reason I feel like I'm able to talk about this is because when I'm working out there on these jobs, these tools, you see these tools on the job all of the time. This is something that I see, and I work with other guys' tools that are like this. I'll have an adjustable wrench in my hand, or I'll have another wrench, and I'll see another guy with one of these. And so you see a lot of different brands come and go, and you do see quite a bit of Icon tools on the job. And that's why, one of the things I've seen about Icon is a lot of people talk really good about them. And my personal opinion is they are good. I do believe that they are good tools for a China-made tool, okay? Or Taiwanese, I believe it is. But when you put them out there on the job and you start using them, you do find you can tell that they're still a Taiwanese tool. Even though it's good, especially for bang for the buck, it is good, and I would definitely suggest somebody buying one of these, especially if they're on a real big budget and they can't afford to get something nicer. I will go ahead and tell you, this one's the cheapest. This one's the next cheapest, and then the Knipex is going to be the next cheapest. I do not have a Knipex, but I have used a Knipex quite a bit on the job. It'll be on a company truck or something like that, and you'll see a Knipex version of these. And I've used the Knipex in multiple sizes. I wish I could have got one of those just to put into the video, but you can look them up. They look essentially like this. But here's what I like about this Olsa Tools one. Now, I'm not telling y'all which one to buy. I want you to go weigh it out for yourself, because ultimately you could decide just to go buy the Knipex and be done with it, okay? This one's a little cheaper than the Knipex, and it's a little bit more than the Icon, okay? But I like the grip better on this one. It's got that stop grip, but it's also a comfort grip. And I like this better than what you get on the Knipex as well, this grip. I do believe that you can go ahead and opt for the comfort grip on the Knipex, but a lot of times, you know, you're squeezing on that. You're going to put some weight down on it, and so I really like that comfort grip. The Knipex ones comes with a handle something like this. This Icon one has a little bit more comfortable grip than what comes on the Knipex. Now, personally, I don't like this specific handle material, this composite material. Some people like it, and you may be one of those. You may like this material. I have gotten tools with this material, and I haven't seen them hold up just the absolute best. In my experience, a handle like this seems to hold up better. That's just me personally. As far as these specific tools and these specific handles, I haven't seen any problems out of either one, and I've seen guys on the job with this right here and with these handles, and so far I'm not seeing anything, any problems. I'm just telling you my own experience. I'm not saying that that's a problem. It's just part of it is just personal preference. I don't personally like this handle as much as I do this one. It feels better in my hand. It feels like it would work better. I like the fact that there's a stop for my hand. I don't know why, but I just do. I also like the way it sits. If you look at this one, it just fits better in the grip. It fits better there, whereas when I'm grabbing this one, it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, the feel of it doesn't feel quite right to me when I'm feeling it in the hand. That's just personal. Like I said, this one I can grab back here for ultimate leverage. And it feels really good, or I can close grip it all the way up here where the stops are, and it still feels really good. This one feels good all the way back here, I will say that. Not quite as good as this one, but it does feel good. Plenty good enough. If I hadn't touched this one, I would never know the difference. I'd be happy with it, okay? But when I come up here, and maybe this doesn't matter, but when I do come up here, I definitely do not like the way that feels. I definitely like the way this one feels better. Those are just little things. None of these are deal breakers. I think if you bought either one of these, I think these would be great tools. Now the question is one of them as good as the Knipex? And if I'm looking at this one, guys, it's made in Germany, okay? I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I have that right. I'm not sure. This one is made in Germany. I'm not sure, you know, it could be virtually the same tool, okay? Slightly different shape and all like that, but it's made in Germany. This one's actually made in Taiwan. Now, I think it's Taiwan. It may be China, made in China. I'm not sure. But a lot of the one thing that all of us know is the reason why these are more expensive, or I mean, a cheaper tool right here, is because the steel is typically not going to be, excuse me, the steel is typically not going to be as quality. Okay, so that's just something to remember, but your warranty may make up for that. That may not be something you're worried about as long as you have a warranty. Okay, both of these have warranties, so you're good. Even the Knipex have warranties. So you may not worry about that if you have a warranty. You may say, let me go get the cheapest one, and I'll be just fine. As far as weight goes, they feel about the same. The Icon definitely feels a little bit heavier than this one to me, but it's not enough to matter. If I'm grabbing the two of them, I mean, yes, this one is definitely heavier. This Icon is definitely heavier than this Olsa tools, and that's probably because it is a cheaper steel, so they end up having to use more steel. But the quality, when I look at the quality of the two, there are little things that I can see about this Olsa tools made in Germany that is just a better buy. It feels more quality. When I grab this right here, I check it for smoothness. This is smooth, okay? When I grab this one right here, this one, you can hear it. It's still good. It's plenty good, guys. But it's not like it's not as smooth. Like, it kind of sounds like it's barely catching the teeth as it's going, and it's more of a feel thing when I'm feeling it. This one right here, it's just smooth as butter. Just moves up and down effortlessly. And I also like the graduations. When I open this up, I like how it looks. When you're looking at your numbers in there, this one's on the outside. I feel like that's going to be subject to wear. At the same time, both of them could be subject to wear. But I can't see this one as easily. I got to really get it into the light. This one right here is very easy to see. I really like that when I open it up. You can see this one just fine, but in the right lighting, it can be a little hard to see. And in some lighting, it doesn't matter at all. It's just fine. So that's just personal. That could just be 100% personal preference. But one of the things, see, every time, once I pick this up, when I'm going back and forth, then I can really tell the difference. This one might be quite a bit lighter. It might be just not really thinking about it, because when I lay one down and then I pick the other one up, I can definitely tell that's lighter, guys. But one of the things that I don't like, and this could be me, maybe this means nothing, when these are closed all the way up, okay? Maybe you can see that. I can't tell if you can or not. Right here on the icon, it sticks out. It sticks out above that. So now this, like I said, this is only when it's completely closed. So maybe it will never matter. But here's the thing. One of the things I like to do with an adjustable wrench is to use it to straighten and bend metal back and forth. So a lot of times I'll have it in that almost closed position. And so maybe this would never matter, but that's just something that, you know, this one doesn't have it. It does not stick out. It's smooth right there. I don't know what would be the purpose, why they made it to where it protrudes all the way out. I feel like they could have trimmed that up and make that look a little bit nicer. Maybe that's not ever going to be a problem. And if it's not, then it's fine. As long as it functions fine, I'm fine with it. But that's just something that I've noticed, is that this one is smooth when it's all the way closed. There's no obstructions. And this one, when it's all the way closed, there are obstructions. There is something there that could hang or catch on something. There's not a big difference. I want to say there's roughly a $20 difference in these. Ultimately, you know, if you can afford to buy something really good and you go with something else, I feel like that this one right here is just as good as the Knipex. So for this one, I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with the Olsa tools. That's me personally. I'm not telling y'all what to do. If I can afford it, I'm gonna go with this one, because this is a good tool. It's made in Germany. I can tell the steel is quality. The warranty seems to be good from what I can see, from everything I've heard from everyone else. It seems to be good. You might want to do your own research on it. But my money, I really think I'm going to go into this one. And that's partly because of all the things I know about Olsa tools. I like Olsa tools. At the same time, if this is all I could get my hands on, or if this is all I could afford, I would absolutely be okay with getting an Icon. I will say, being a guy that works in the trades and actually works, I'm usually the welder on the job, but I'm working with mechanics that are out there, and they're using these Icon tools, all sorts of different tools, and they are still having problems with them, okay? Now, not a huge amount. I'm not seeing a massive amount of problems with them. And you're going to have problems with everything. But my point is that they're not, everything about them is not like top of the line. They are still a made in Taiwan tool. Now, I do believe they are a good company. I do believe they're doing some really good stuff at some really affordable prices, and I'm happy for that. And I personally like Icon, okay? But I'm just putting that out there. Don't be deceived that this is the absolute top of the line tool. Your made in Germany tools, I still believe, or made in America tools, I still believe that they are going to be better. Depends on the price. I'm not going to go buy Snap-on because it's just way out of my league. It's just so much more expensive. But something like this that's not that much more, $20 more, and you have something that's made in Germany, it feels so much more quality. It's still got that lifetime warranty. I'm going to go with this myself. I personally really like it. So let's go out and let's take a look at a couple things that it does. So here's a place that I'm going to use an adjustable wrench quite a bit. You can tell I've actually gotten in a bind in the past, and I've used that pair of channel locks on there. You're really not supposed to do that, but sometimes when you're in a bind, you do. The one thing about an adjustable wrench, the problem is it's always going up or down in size. It's either too small or too big, okay? What I love about these, no matter which one you're talking about, you know, whether you're talking about the, you know, whichever one you're talking about, you can squeeze it down to size, okay, get it adjusted, and then it's locked in. It's never going to come back out of size, okay? Put that right there, and then you tighten around so it can't slip. Some places won't even let you use an adjustable wrench on anything brass because of that, because it doesn't lock down. It could still slip, okay? So that's one thing I like about these, is that it actually tightens around that head. So you see, I get it on there, I get it, and boom, I'm tight. But not only that, I can let it go, and it gives me a bit of a ratcheting action. So I can actually take this and start there, make it tight, okay, and then I can actually ratchet up to my next position rather than pulling all the way off, which is what you would normally have to do, and then put it in place, okay? Is this going to completely replace an adjustable wrench for me? I don't think so, because I'm probably not going to buy the 15 or the 18-inch one of these, and I'm probably always going to continue buy the 15 and 18-inch in the adjustable wrench, probably just to save the money. But at some point, this may get a little bit too cumbersome as well, because you can already tell, you know, the head is about the same. It's not that much different. One thing I like about these, of course, so this is the 10-inch right here, okay? And this is the 12-inch, this adjustable wrench right here. And this adjustable wrench, I do not think that it will open up to the same size. Now, even though this is a made-in-America adjustable wrench, this is a good adjustable wrench, I really don't like it that it doesn't have graduations on it and it shows you what the sizes are. But if you look at that, even being a 12-inch versus a 10-inch, okay, it's still less. It's still a smaller opening. So you've got that big opening. You're not always going to have the leverage on this, but it's nice to know that you've got it, because sometimes that's all you need. Okay, so this really does come in handy for a lot of these little run around the farm jobs. Like this is my farm weld trailer right here. I use this here on the farm. So you can see, just get it right into place. I'm good to go, just like that. It works really well. So this is actually another place that I would use something like this. A lot of times on my welding machine or on my tractor, my alternator might get a little bit loose and I'll start to hear the belt squeak. And a lot of times that's really what an adjustable wrench is for, is you grab the wrench, you don't have to worry about what size it is. It can fit in these larger areas, because this is not going to replace a half-inch wrench. The size is just significantly larger than that half-inch wrench. But in a lot of these places, it just doesn't matter. You've got the leverage, you've got the grip. You can come in there, get that grip loose, and then get that alternator tightened back up. So that's kind of where something like this would shine. Okay, so this is really where something like this shines. You look at the width of these two right here. I'm sorry, I'm out of frame. You look at the width. This adjustable wrench is so much larger, and even if it was a 10-inch, it would still be wider than that. So if I go to doing something like this, where I'm tightening up these battery cables right here, I run out of room really quick here, but I also risk rounding this off. And I know we've all been in that position. Now, you'd be much better to just go get a wrench, even rather than this, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes this is the tool you've got. So I really think that's what I love about these, is the nose really comes down in this nice edge right there. Even if I grab the Icon, this one's rounded. I still think it's a good design, but I kind of like this design better for this, because I'm really able to get down into these tighter places. But either one you would use, it would both be good. But I can grab this and then really get a squeeze on that. Okay, and now I'm actually able to get into this tighter spot and get this loose. Like I said, it's not the best scenario. Okay, I'd be much better off just to go get a wrench, but everyone knows that we've been in that scenario and we've had to do that. So you can see I can get back in there, even getting just I can barely get in there as far as my nose, but I can get a good enough squeeze that I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm doing just fine. I'm tightening it right back up and I'm not having any trouble. So these are just a win for me. So this is an example of something I would be doing with an adjustable wrench quite often. Okay, and I can use this in these scenarios quite well. Okay, I have not broke anything here free, but that's working good, and I don't have to worry about it slipping. And see, there's that ratcheting action. I can ratchet that back and then tighten that right back up. Okay, now I can bring it back open to this. I've got my graduation, so if I already know what size it is, I can just bring it right to it. The one thing I do wish they would have done different, but I know why they didn't, is I wish the American side was on the side that I'm looking, but obviously it's a German-made company, so that's the way they're going to do it. But I can bring this wherever I want it because I can see, or I can just bring it right up to it, you know, and then I'm good to go. And I like it because I can go either way on this and I'm fine. So I take that drain plug right off and I'm not having any trouble. Let's do it with the Icon, because I know the Icon is going to be good as well. Like I said, I bought this Icon with my own money. Well, didn't quite go to the right size right on hand, but not a problem. Okay, same ratcheting action. Doesn't seem to be a problem. I think they're both great tools. I really do. Down here on these really big bolts, this is something I would use, but you would have to have something to break this free. But it's nice to know that I can actually fit that. You know, I can actually get on that. And I'm tight, okay? I'm not going to try to break that free, because I know it's not going to break free that easily. Something like this bolt right here. This would be a place that you would use something like this. That's just much too big for me to try to break loose by myself with a 10-inch. Yep, it's just too big of a bolt. But I'm not feeling any giving. I'm not feeling any problems there. Ultimately, this is just a 10-inch, you know, so it's going to be subject to whatever leverage you have. But man, that locking, I love that locking. It just locks right on there, and then you squeeze it, you know, whatever position you want. Breaks right free. I've never actually taken, this is a brush hog I just got, and I still need to do a bunch of work on it. I just bought this. I don't even know if there's any oil in here. It was so cheap, I never even looked at the oil or anything. I got it for such a good price. It wouldn't have mattered if there was oil in it or not. I would have bought it. But I'm going to end up going over this whole brush hog. But I just love that squeeze, because it's like, you know, you take it and you push on this side, and it's got, you know, that's where you get your, like if I put this right here, I can grab and push just like that. All my leverage, I just need to be able to push down right there. That's all I need to be able to do, okay? If I grab, if I can find it, if I grab this one right here, I open it up. Of course, like I said, you don't want to use this for this, but the example's still the same. I grab and push, it's going to fall loose. It's not like I can't, the leverage doesn't come from here. So I've got to squeeze everything together, and then these are always trying to come loose. This is just a much better design for all of this. I want to give both of them a fair shot. I do believe that both of these are ultimately a good tool. I don't think that was quite tight enough. I wanted to adjust it down. There we go. That seems to work out just fine. I love the fact that I can just open it up and basically ratchet it back. It's not really a ratchet, that's the wrong term, but it's a good way to explain what it's doing. The fact that I can open it up and bring it back instead of pulling it loose. Whereas this right here, I would have to, you know, get it down the side, pull it off, bring it back over here, pull it off. It's always a pulling it off, and then it's always getting back loose again. So it's either too loose or too tight. And that's one reason why it's so easy to round something off with this. Because even when you get it tight enough, there's a little shake. But you grab this right here, we'll use the icon. Grab this right here, you get it tight. There's no shake, there's no movement, so you don't risk damaging that fastener. So whichever one you get, I think they're both great. The one thing that you should keep in mind, and I'll say this because I've used these quite a bit in the field, and I know people that have, is this small mechanism right here. If you're not using this every day, especially if you're buying one of those little small ones that stays in your pocket, these are subject to get rusty and get rusty all down in there. So like if you got a pocket carry and you've got a more of a dirty blue collar job, then you pull one of these out, they're subject to get rusty, and then like all these mechanisms in here, and then they're not working for you. So if it doesn't work for you, it's kind of pointless. There's not any point in having it. So just keep that in mind for whatever application you're going to use this. For me, this is going to be something that's going to stay like in a toolbox of a tractor or something like that, and it's going to be always available, but I'm not necessarily having it somewhere where it's going to get like a bunch of rust or something like that. The good thing about this is, you know, this one, even if it got a little rusty, it's still going to work just fine. So I won't be throwing these away. I'll be using them for different things, but I definitely won't be using them as much now that I have this one. My personal pick is going to be this Olsa tools. I do love it. I'm not saying it because they sent it to me. They sent it to me because I specifically requested it. I don't like to give bad reviews. I only want to give good reviews to y'all. And that's the reason I haven't done a lot of reviews, because I specifically request tools. And sometimes I get turned down because I only am going to request tools that I actually believe is going to be worth y'all having. Both of these tools would get my approval. I think that both of them would be good. Personally, I think this one is better. It is made in Germany. I do think it's just a better tool. And I might even would dare say it's right up there with the Knipex. I definitely think it's a quality and a good tool. Both of them's good for my money. I will have a link in the description for this one right here if I can find it on Amazon. If I can find a link for this one, I'll put it in there. I don't think Amazon would sell these, but whichever one, I'd put a link for both and let y'all decide.